Welcome to the One Up Sales Development Podcast, a podcast for new and emerging revenue leaders, whether you're in sales, marketing, or customer success. We're here for one thing and one thing only, to drive revenue. This one goes out to all the hustlers out there on the phones, each and every day, slugging it out. Whether you're adding net new logos, expanding revenue from your sole base, or renewing existing accounts, it's all about working as one cohesive team towards one cohesive goal.
Cross-functional sales team.
So if you're new and you want to be a top funnel sales dev strategist, then you better put in the work and act like one. Digital marketing, act like one. Customer success, act like one. To be the bro, act the role. I'm your host, Jackson Lill, a top funnel revenue growth leader and everyday frontline practitioner. This podcast is brought to you by the SDU community, Sales Dev Unite.
SDRs Unite.
Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show. Without further ado, okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Annie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing special guest here today as we're just talking in the back space room right now. Annie Roshi is someone who I've been following for a very, very, very long time, and just told her that, hey, we've been chasing her for about a year. She's like, what? In case you guys didn't catch it, the episode we did with DealPoint.io CEO Tom over there, we gave her a shout in there, and I shot that message to her and played a long-term game until the time comes.
Lead IQ. There we go.
Lead IQ. Yeah.
Sorry, Annie.
Lead scraper. Yeah.
Yeah. Lead IQ. Fantastic. So
Annie Rosher. Is it Annie Rosher?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The AE, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know Annie. Yo, yeah, Annie Rosher, shout out to you. I got to get you on this pod next, girl.
Annie
comes. Annie Roshi, welcome to the One Up Sales Development Podcast.
Here I am. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. We were just talking about the benefit to planting the seed early and then watering the seed, and finally here I am. So you did a good job, and I'm actually really flattered that you asked me to be here.
Thanks, Annie. We're happy that you'd be open to coming on. So really, really happy to be here. So without further ado, before we dive deep into it, why don't you go ahead and just share our audience here, who you are, what do you currently do, and what does that company do in general when it comes to problem solving?
Yeah, absolutely. So my professional day-to-day, I'm now at Attentive, AttentiveMobile.com if you want to check it out. We're a performance marketing channel that's built for e-commerce and retail brands primarily. So companies like Coach, Lulu, CB2, Supergoop, they're all using Attentive. And it's a text messaging platform. So if you get any of those promotional or transactional texts on your cell phone, those most likely are coming from Attentive, because we're working with 10x the amount of top 1,000 retailer brands and any other text message platform on the market. And yeah, really excited to be at Attentive, but I have to say it was hard to leave Lead IQ, because I was at Lead IQ for almost 4 years, and a big part of my heart is still there.
Yes. Okay. Before we dive into that a little bit deeper here, just to make sure I understand this correctly, Attentive, huge text messaging platform for the selling to like consumers, right? Where they're like just getting.
Exactly.
Are you guys mass blasting to, and that's a negative charge word, but this is in a good way. Is it for like customer support, or like, is it a review or feedback, or what is it that you guys are doing there?
Yeah, there is a small element of customer support that's built into the platform, but primarily it's for marketing and promotional purposes. So it's really to drive bottom line revenue into the business. And ultimately, there's a bunch of different ways that we do that, but things like cart abandonment is a really popular functionality for Attentive. There's billions of dollars that's lost out for e-commerce brands every year of carts that get abandoned. So Attentive can actually recognize when one of the subscribers abandons their cart and send them a quick reminder, let's say 20 minutes later. There's also things like browse abandonment. Hey, saw you were checking out this really cool pair of shoes. We think it would look good on you. Getting those sort of like very personalized text messages as well. So we're really trying to make it feel more personal and not as much of just a batch blast that they're sending to every single subscriber. We're working closely with our brands to make sure that their consumers feel like it really is a personalized experience.
Yes, yes. I love what I'm hearing. Getting more personalized, and it's all about data, right? That's the problem about today's too. I got a text message not too long ago. Hey, you're qualified for an extended car insurance. Oh, okay. Okay, Annie, talk to us, please. We want to hear your story and background. You know, most female in sales, they didn't grow up like, hey, you know, I want to grow up and be a sales professional in the tech scene. What's your backstory? How did you get started? Please lay it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually just wrote a LinkedIn post about my story of getting into sales if anybody wants to check it out, but I'll definitely summarize here. I'd say when I was younger, you know, let's say like elementary school and middle school, I thought I might be a doctor. I think a lot of young kids have an aspiration to be a doctor. I specifically wanted to be a pediatrician because I loved kids. And then as I got older, my interests changed. Like I wasn't a big math and science person. So it's like maybe the medical field isn't the right field for me. But what I was really getting into was law. I was in a couple law classes in high school as extracurriculars. And I did something called Model UN, which if you don't know what Model UN is, it's basically like this club full of people that go to different conferences and represent different countries from around the world, and you debate international issues representing your countries. So I was like Israel as an example for one of the conferences, and we were debating a specific global issue that was happening in Brazil, and the goal was to come to a resolution as a group. So I was really into like negotiation and public speaking, that sort of thing. So in high school, I thought I might end up being a lawyer, or maybe I would work in the United Nations, the real United Nations one day. So I kind of went through that journey. And then getting into college, my early college career, I was exposed to companies like Tom Shoes, also Kiva, which is a social company that's focused on microfinancing. And I was like, actually, I think I want to be an entrepreneur. And I specifically want to be an entrepreneur that has some sort of like social mission to it. You know, time goes on and you get to the end of college, and I was like, I wasn't quite ready to jump full on into entrepreneurship at the time. I didn't really have the capital. I didn't feel like I had the idea, but I knew eventually I wanted to get into some level of entrepreneurship. And I decided that sales was going to be the best way to do that, and specifically sales at an early stage startup, so I could learn the ropes at a very early stage. And I ended up joining a company that had around 20 employees out in San Francisco. So I packed my bags from a small town school in Florida and moved out to San Francisco to start my career in tech. And I was an SDR. I was an SDR at the time.
Okay. And was that Bannerman when you first started?
It was, yeah, it was Bannerman.
Okay. Let me ask you this, and I'm just curious about this. When and how did you realize early on that you wanted to become an entrepreneur? Did you have some sort of experience where were you like selling, you know, Girl Scout cookies or something like that? What sparked you there? What was the main root cause?
Yeah, I did do the Girl Scout cookie thing. I was very competitive. Like anything that I did as a kid, I really wanted to win, including Girl Scout cookies. There was even like this CCD program that I did. I grew up and still am Catholic. And I would put like a star every week for going to church every Sunday, mainly because I was motivated by having the most stars at the end of the program. So like I was very competitive at a very young age in a lot of different ways. So I think that was part of it. I also had my godfather who had started his own business in New Hampshire. It's a very successful business in Dover, New Hampshire. And I saw the success that he had and always looked up to him. I think a lot of people that are interested in entrepreneurship usually have some sort of like personal role model or someone that they've known try it out and be successful doing it. So I would add that as something that got me excited about owning my own business.
Got it. Perfect. Okay, so you had a role model experience, and you were really going
Yeah.
after. It was really after those stars. Was that the colored stars, where it's like gold, blue, yellow, and some of it's glittery? Is it that crack
Yeah,
stars?
mostly the glittery, mostly the glittery stars. Yeah.
Because you're a shining star, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about Lead IQ.
Yeah.
90% of our audience who listens here knows exactly what Lead IQ is. Shout out to you, Jeremy LeVay, my man. That's the first guy I ever brought up What Up Sales
Oh, that's
podcast here as
amazing.
well.
I didn't know Jeremy was your first guest. That's really cool.
Yeah, Flamingo Fire, right? Flamingo Fire. That's the guy with the pink flamingo.
Yes, yeah.
Annie, how did you get started with Lead IQ? What's your story there? Like previously, you mentioned you were at Better Man, right? But like, did you had some sort of connection? Were they just hiring you? Just threw your hat into the ring? What happened there? How'd you get started?
Yeah, great question. So I spent about a year in San Francisco working at Bannerman, and there were just a number of things that drew me back home to New Hampshire, which ultimately led me to Lead IQ. Some for personal and professional reasons, but I packed up my bag from San Francisco, moved back home to New Hampshire. It took a few months off of everything just because I needed it. I needed to recalibrate, reset, like figure out what my priorities were. And after that, I was back into the job market looking to figure out what I wanted to do next. And the CEO of Lead IQ actually reached out to me. So big shout out to May on LinkedIn and said that she wanted, said she wanted to interview me. And Lead IQ at the time was probably similar in size to Bannerman. It was around 20 employees. And I was one of the first sales reps, one of 2 SDRs at the time before we eventually hired Jeremy and really built out the team. But started as an SDR, and by that point I had been an SDR for almost a year, kind of maybe a year and some change with Bannerman, and I knew I wanted that AE role. So a fun story here is before I accepted the job at Lead IQ as an SDR, I actually negotiated with the CEO, May, that if I hit 100 opportunities, if I sourced 100 opportunities, I would be promoted to an account executive. And I did that within 2 or 3 months. So, yeah, I was on a mission. I was on a mission for that promotion. So I started as an SDR at Lead IQ. It quickly kind of went up the ranks and was one of 2 account executives. Was an AE for a few years until I ultimately moved into the management seat about a year ago.
Okay, hold on.
So, I know we skipped ahead quite a bit.
Yeah, no, just just to make sure I understand this correctly.
Yeah.
She said, hey, look, we'd like to come on board. Here's the offer letter. And you renegotiate and say, hey, look, ultimately my heart lies within the AE role. I have an entrepreneur spirit. I always want to be in control of my own destiny, and being an AE is very, very close to it. If I was to hit 100 opportunities, straight when time comes, you will promote me to AE regardless of the time frame. And she said, bring it on. Is that what happened?
Yeah, and I got it in writing. I think is a good point to add. I got that specifically put in writing before I accepted the job.
Damn, good start. Yeah. Okay. Wow, this is mind blowing. I was wondering. I was like, 3 months, man. There's always SDR readers out there. 14 months, 16 months, 12 months on average. You sitting here slay. Okay. Okay. Wow. Good. That's good. I was wondering what happened there. This is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Annie, during your time as an SDR, what's it like to be a female as an SDR?
I was always the only female in the group. At Bannerman, I was like there was only 3 of us to start. We scaled to maybe 6, and I was the only female the entire time. Similar at Lead IQ, I eventually, even as an AE, was 1 woman out of 10 AEs at Lead IQ, and they're working on their diversity, and like they definitely know that's something that they need to improve in their recruiting efforts. But I've always kind of been the minority in the group. To be honest, I never let it bother me. Like, I don't think it's something that we need to spend too much time like victimizing ourselves over in terms of being a woman and spending too much time overthinking about being somebody that's a minority. It's like, let's just be great, prove yourself as a top performer, and like nothing else really matters. So I try not to think about gender too much. I do put a lot of like women positive things out there online because I want to change the perception of women in sales. I think there should be more women in sales. There's like statistics out there that says women are higher performers compared to their male counterparts. So there's so many positive things that I want to put out there to attract more women to the profession. But specifically me sitting in the seat, I never tried to compare myself to the men or tried to like say that I was at some sort of disadvantage. Like I just was me and I was the best version of me. And I happened to be the top AE at Lead IQ for about 2 years. You know, top 10% because, you know, one out of 10 people.
Yes. Yes. We had a conversation with this not too long ago too, where our special guest, Ralph Barstein, we were talking about the same exact thing when it comes to female in sales. You know, it's unfortunate to see, and it's still a stigma today, you know, and you just hit the nail on the head, right? There's a lot of people out there who are way over, like, don't you hate it when underqualified people get the next steps over overqualified people, and majority of, sometimes it's, you know, happen to be the female, like they're just as qualified and, you know, they work just as hard and, you know, sometimes even better than the dudes. Yeah, so it's like, yo.
Right.
Annie, perhaps you can share some insights here if this is something you'd be all right with. You know, if there's like female in sales right now that's in SDR and BDR, and they would one day want to become an AE, whichever company they're currently at, what kind of advice do you have for them to set them up for success and to plant the seed early on? What should they do?
I'd say number one thing is just work on being a top performer in your current role. Like some people overthink this. If you're top performing and your numbers are better than everybody else's, you're going to be recognized. So I put like 90% of my focus just in being the best of my peer group. And then after that, I think there's something specifically that women do tend to struggle with compared to men is advocating for yourself. So once you have those numbers on the board and it's consistent, right? It's not 1 quarter or 1 month. It's like a couple quarters in there. You can start talking about your numbers and advocating for yourself and what you want next. There's a stat that Lauren Bailey likes to put out there, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but I'm going to do my best. And then hopefully we can cite the source afterwards. But it's essentially in a role, men will apply or kind of raise their hand if they have 5 out of the 10 qualifications. Women will wait until they have 10 out of 10 qualifications to apply for the role. So like, be confident in yourself, like focus on your own performance first. But after that, like go reach for things that maybe you don't even think you're qualified for yet. And you might be happily surprised.
Nice. You know, what you just said right there, there's a few females I chat with in sales too. That's one thing that kind of they're scared to do. And you said it's self-advocating for yourself, right? It's like getting out there and kind of have like bragging rights. Like you gotta go out there, put in the work, bring the results, but then you gotta stand up for it and kind of like have that friendly competition. There's a lot of like a lot of them, I'm sure they feel it too. Like they know they booked the meeting, but then they don't say anything. So what can they do to like help self-advocate themselves and just throw it out there like a friendly competition to the point where, because what happened is most of the time, let's say there's a group of 5-10 SDRs, right? You know, 8 of them are guys, 8 dudes, 2 girls. There's like 3 dudes are like top performer. And in 1 month, the girl just smash on all of them, but then they don't really say anything. You know, it happens all the time. Like what's one thing they can do to just like throw it on out there and to let them know that, hey, look, I'm just as good, maybe even better than you are. So what's up? Right?
Yeah, I'd say like celebrate your wins and do it publicly. Like I think a lot of women are afraid or maybe ashamed of like performing or doing well, or they just want to be humble and keep it to themselves. Maybe it's not an ashamed thing, but it's just a humility dilemma. you have to be able to share your success and your wins. And the way that you can think about doing that in maybe a more humbling way, in a way that's going to help the greater group, which ultimately is going to make you be seen as a team player and move you along even further in your career, is celebrating your wins in a way that you're teaching your peers. So like this month I had I had like an awesome month, and this is why, and these were the things that I did differently this month than I've done in previous months. Like this is what works, this is what isn't working for me, and like this is why I did so well this month. So celebrating your wins publicly, like this can be in a Slack channel, this could be in like a team stand up, it could be raising your hand as an opportunity to speak during your departmental all hands. Like there's so many different forums for you to be able to do it, but finding your spots to celebrate your own success, but at the same time doing it in a way that you're able to teach everybody around you.
Yes, there it is. That's why you hit AE in less than 3 months. That's the thing we love about sales development, right? Things are constantly changing. Hey, look, we're in this specific industry. They love text messages, but when it comes to this company purchasing this kind of items, here's the kind of approach that they like to take. And this is what they don't like to hear. And you're bringing something back to the table. Now you're more than just a person that just booked all his appointments. You're now a person of value. Annie Roche. Okay, for the respect of the time we have here, because I know you have a hard stop, there's something I got to pick your brain on. You know, most people, when they come in tech sales, right, they pick up the individual contributor role, like, man, this is good, money's flowing, making all this cheese. But you did one that's, I see some people, not a lot though. You were an individual contributor, you're out there, you're hunting, you're a hunter, but all of a sudden now you made I would say like kind of like a horizontal jump within the same vertical. You're now a sales manager, and this is a leadership role. You're now taking care of people and bringing the best around them. What happened there? What happened to the entrepreneur, Annie, and what made you make that switch?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I had always known I wanted to get into leadership like pretty early. I think it went up things from my childhood, but I was always a leader. I always enjoyed being a leader. I was the older sister, so I felt like I was kind of always had that in me. But for me, the switch from IC to management really came after I closed this whale deal at Lead IQ. I think I can use numbers. It was close to a $400,000 deal, and it was like it was a 2-year contract. It was all paid up front. I won't mention the name of the logo, but it was a huge deal. It was about like 20x like our average contract value. So it was a very big deal. It was super exciting. I had this rush of energy when I closed it. And then like really immediately after that, I thought, I want to help other people do this. Like, I want to help other reps feel this way, like have these huge wins. So I expressed that to my boss at the time, and I had planted seeds for a while. I was in the Girls Club program, and we made it happen very quickly. Essentially at the end of Girls Club, which I felt like gave me a really good foundational skill set to feel confident in moving into the management seat. I moved right in and I took over half of the Lead IQ closing team. And a few months after that, got promoted into specifically our mid-market management team, which was a lot more like enterprise deals, but we called them mid-market deals, and did that for a while until I joined Attentive.
Oh my goodness. Congratulations. Closing the whale, making it happen. Okay.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Quick question here. When you closed that deal, the whale deal, the huge 4x, 10x, whatever that is, right? Yeah. 400K. When you closed that deal, you got that signature on a dotted line. Did you immediately afterwards, did you face depression?
Did I get what?
Did you get depressed at all? Depressed?
No, I had like a rush of emotions. I was calculating my commission. Like I was just happy. I was very happy, and like I had worked the deal for a very long time, so it was like, okay, it finally came to fruition. it's done. Like I can hand this project off. Because I had worked on it on and off for about 12 months, more on for the last 6 months before the deal closed. But it was a long journey to get it done, and it was really satisfying when it finally came in.
Nice, nice. Okay. Apologies on my end, please disregard that. The reason I asked is because typically when people in the individual world, like Olympics and stuff like that, they work for this for their entire life. Once they reach it, like getting the gold medal, like Michael Phelps, once they hit the golden thing, get number one, immediately afterwards, they face this depression because it's like, I've been working my whole entire life for this. And then now what do I do?
Yeah. But I didn't have time for that. It's like on to the next challenge. It's like on to the next challenge. Okay, that like I checked that box. Now I'm ready for something new and a little bit different. And at the time, it was kind of that perfect transition for me to get into the leadership role.
Okay, perfect. Annie, as much as more we love to chat, we have 2 minutes left. How does it look like on your end? Just check.
I've got to jump in 2 minutes.
Okay. So Annie Roshi, thank you again so much for coming on. We truly appreciate you. Although this chat wasn't as long as we want it to be, that's not a problem at all. If there's anyone out there who would like to reach out to you and learn a little bit more, what's the best way to do so? And please leave us with one critical advice for a female in sales who wants to get into sales.
Yeah, I'd say, do you want to reach out to me? Reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's the best place to find me for now. It's Annie Roach. Might be updated to Annie Newborn soon. So keep your eye out for that. I just got married and I'm still working on a checklist of things, including my name change. Thank you. And then in terms of advice, I'd say, if you want to make money and you want to be in charge of your own destiny and you have this entrepreneurial drive, don't let any preconceived perception of sales keep you away from it. Like, it's such a rewarding job. Looking back at like the things that drew me to sales, I think that like I said, I wanted to be a doctor when I was a kid. I'm prescribing medicine. I like to think about in my sales role now. Then I thought I might want to be a lawyer. I'm getting to kind of flex that negotiation muscle. And there's just so many different facets to sales. It's not just what you see in the media or movies, or even maybe your direct experience from other salespeople you've worked with. Like, you can make it your own. You can do really anything with it. The sky's the limit. It's so transferable. And I think that like a lot of salespeople, especially in tech sales, are making more money than doctors and lawyers are. So keep it in mind. If you think you can do it, like go for it.
Yes. There it is. And you are the doctor in sales. Diagnose before you prescribe. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Annie Newborn.